So thank you everybody for coming to the nonprofit update for 2017. We have a really packed agenda today. There's a lot of stuff that we're going to be talking about. We're going to kind of try to touch on a bunch of things. We probably won't get too deep into everything. Sorry about that. But that's good because that means that you guys can call us up, ask us questions, and that's what we're here for. I mean, we feel that our job is not just to be accountants, but also to be educators. So we try really hard to educate the nonprofit sector. And just to go into a 2-second commercial for a second. Everybody knows that Cerini and Associates is big in the nonprofit world, but I just want to remind everybody that we don't just do nonprofit work, we do for-profit work too. So if there's anybody out there who needs any work on a for-profit perspective, we're happy to help there too. Because we have a tight schedule, I just kind of want to move things along. A couple little ground rules. If anybody has questions as you're going through this, as we're going through the presentations, please just chime in and ask questions. We have a microphone, so please just try to make sure you have the microphone when you ask the question. I'll try to run around and get people the microphone, so just raise your hand. I'll try to get you the microphone because we're doing this on a webinar too. So we're trying to make sure that the webinar picks up everything that's going on today also. And it makes it a lot easier if the webinar can hear your question rather than having the speaker try to repeat the question and eat up more time there. So we're going to try to make this work. It's our first time for this, so we apologize if there's any bugs in the system. Hopefully that'll work. So again, want to get started with this. Anybody who needs CPE, you have to sign in outside and make sure you fill in the evaluation form that's in the packet. Quick question so we don't have a problem like we had last year. Did anybody park in the front? Everybody parked in the back? They did, good. Okay, I just want to make sure that everybody parked in the back because when I pulled in this morning, the front was still open. And we had a problem last year. We had to do a mass move of all the cars last year in terms of having everybody move to the back right in the middle of the presentation. So just wanted to make sure that was all being taken care of. All right, so let's get started. Our first presentation is going to be on cybersecurity, and we have two speakers. We have James Rocker from Nerds That Care, and we have Domenick Gandolfo, who's the co-founder and chief security strategist at Cybersafe Solutions. I'm not going to go into their bios. Their bios are in the packets along with everybody else's bios. So I'm just going to pass on the microphone so we can get started. So James.
So real quick, I'm James Rocker again, Nerds That Care. We're an information technology company helping businesses on Long Island and across the globe here stay safe when it comes to technology. Unlike my buddy Dom over there, who is a cyber professional, we are keeping our clients safe by understanding certain things that are happening in today's world to protect your data, your business, and such. And the reason for that is how I got started. I actually was living in college really quick with some hackers. I didn't really know what they were or what they were doing, but being around this environment, it helped me understand certain things that I saw happening with just the early stages of what we considered network security back then. So just a little bit about me. I have an unbelievable passion for technology. I was doing some ethical hacking in the early 2000s, penetration testing, working for some security firms. I was really more a gopher, but I was learning all these things that and techniques and strategies that these guys were doing to essentially for all sorts of reasons. I started out as a network engineer and provided security assessments to businesses on Long Island and started a consulting practice in 2005, which developed into really what is called an MSP today. Has anybody ever heard the term MSP? Great, only a couple. So this is it's going to become, you're going to start seeing it more and more, this MSP, and getting into really what is it. It's companies out there that develop solutions for your business, for your practice. They organize your technology, or at least they should be. They should be keeping you safe. They should proactively be monitoring certain things, your network, your computers, your servers, and all these types of things that are relative to your business and technology. 24/7 monitoring and things like that is very important for your business when you decide to bring on an MSP. Just a quick show of hands. How many people are working with a third-party IT company in their business? Okay, great. they're most likely considering themselves an MSP, managed service provider. They should be doing all these types of things, managing your vendors, working very, very close with cyber professionals to make sure that the right things are put in place for your business. They should have a very good understanding of cloud solutions and how they can help protect your business, okay? And they should be partnered with very top level resources. These are big companies, manufacturers, distributors, let's say, security partners and things like that. Some services that we find that MSPs or the IT department, let's say, needs to worry about. All right, these are things that will help protect your business, like firewalls, antivirus, patching, which is Windows updates. That's okay. It's on. It's on. So these things are things that are definitely or should be put in place right now in your business. And if you're not sure about them, it's important that you have these things vetted out, reviewed, review some of your policies, review what your firewall subscriptions look like. Again, for CEOs and CFOs and people that are at the top level, you rely on your IT people to worry about these things. Spam filtering. Companies are coming in now and doing one-time risk assessments, let's say. I don't love these strategies because they tend to be reactive, okay? And now you can see my little picture here. I've got the little cookie cutter guy, and I feel MSPs are popping up all over the place. So it's very important that you have a good vetting process to make sure that you're working with the right MSP for your space, let's say, or your IT department. And a lot of times your IT department, maybe it's 1, 2, 3 professionals, let's say, those people are not equipped to do everything for you. It's becoming impossible. So you're always going to need extra hands. You're always going to need extra expertise to help you with said security tools, hardware, software, whatever it is that kind of fits your business. So we really consider ourselves more of a smarter MSP. We're doing more things that prove that we're actually doing this type of work for you. And that's what I want you to find out and take away from this is your IT department, is your managed service provider doing these things for you and constantly being proactive and bringing you information that essentially shows you either a roadmap, different types of things that took place. So these are more what I would consider smart services. An intrusion protection firewall, verified antivirus, verify that the patching is working properly, different types of spam filtering situations. The cloud can become a very, very cost-effective place to gain the security that these big companies are pumping into their infrastructure and their environment. We hear statistics all the time about big companies like Google, Microsoft, just dumping billions of dollars into their infrastructure. I don't know if anybody can dump $1 billion into their infrastructure here. So we want to utilize, right, those big companies to help provide certain services that fit the needs for your business. Ongoing security services, ongoing audits. Is there any medical professionals in the room? 0? We'll skip right over the HIPAA stuff. But if you're working with medical professionals, let's say, that's a whole nother can of worms that starts. So is anybody working with medical professionals? Medical clients, let's say? Okay, good. Yeah, so there's a HIPAA component wrapped around that, which is super important to understand. So we already know this. The way that we're working is constantly changing. Okay, we're dealing with cloud apps. I mean, you can literally be sitting here in this meeting, go on the iTunes store, go on the Google Play Store, fire up a new app, and hey, it works. Everything's great. The problem is it's exposing your business to new risks, right? And now you have potential employees that are downloading apps, maybe doing business data. The best one I could use an example of is Dropbox, let's say, right? Someone downloads Dropbox, they put some business data in that Dropbox, they take their phone home with them, it gets stolen, it gets lost, it gets hacked, whatever. This is now exposing your business to new risks. Mobile users. So I know for a fact there's companies in this room that do a lot of traveling. They bring laptops. They go see clients. They're out in the field. So mobile is now another threat. And the reason for that is when you're mobile, you're no longer protected from what the office gives you the protection of, right? Being behind those firewalls, being on that safe network, let's say. So if you go sit in a Starbucks, you know, or some other public hotspot like this place, you know, that you're essentially open to risk. And Wi-Fi now and BYOD, I don't think there's any business out there that doesn't have Wi-Fi in their business. And BYOD stands for bring your own device. So that's employees coming to work, allowing them to hop on their own, you know, your corporate email, load your business stuff onto their personal device. Okay, we see that from time to time, a lot more in the private sector, but it's happening everywhere. So it's important that we understand that we're opening ourselves up to certain risks. And there's really the common security challenge around that is off-network coverage. So when you're off your network, how do you protect those people and those laptops and those devices from essentially the bad guys, let's say? We do that with some cloud stuff, with some cloud security, some cloud protection, okay? And it's a very simple process once your IT department understands some of the tools that are out there. And I believe talking with smart MSPs on the island, in the city, wherever you're located, they should be able to help you solve some of these challenges, okay? Sorry for my typo here. The cloud and why it can help you protect you and your business, really. So I mentioned that the cloud is investing tons of money in their infrastructure. It's important for us to, none of us like change. We don't want to, rock that boat. We don't want to piss off the IT guy. But in doing so, and understanding what the cloud has to offer, it can really help protect your business in a lot of ways. Greater levels of security, redundancy out of a data center, let's say, like Microsoft Azure or AWS. These places, you can really wrap some really nice security around some of your technology. And the reliability of places like that is really top notch and really second to none compared to some cable vision connection in your office, let's say, where you don't have a generator, you don't have all these things to keep your business up and running. God forbid a power failure, internet goes out, things like that. So I know we don't have any, let's say, hospitals, doctor's office, or those types of businesses here. But I do want to point out that with HIPAA, in regards to HIPAA, you've already seen the news. I don't need to throw statistics at you, but I wanted to shed some light on this. So it really, in 2015, the fines were 6.1 million. Okay, in 2016, the fines were 22 million, and then my slide's already outdated, but just in January alone this year, the fines were already 5.58 million. And these are fines that health providers, companies, doctors' offices, anybody that needs to stay HIPAA compliant, and they have a breach of some sort or some type of incident happens, they were fined, and the fines are big. And there's a reason healthcare is so popular with security, and people kind of question it. Why are they going after hospitals? Why are they going after these medical practices? And the truth be told, there's some big money behind it. So I think everybody remembers when your credit card got stolen. The credit card sends you a new one. Kind of no big deal, right? Maybe there was some money that got stolen. Hopefully not. But the credit cards are usually good to give it back to you. A typical credit card on the black market right now is only going for $1, let's say 25 cents to $1. But a medical record is going for anywhere from $10 to $50. And you could do some crazy stuff with medical records. Okay, so even if there's a deceased person and you have their medical record, you can file a fake tax return. You could do some crazy things. And that's what's going on out there. So there's a little place called the dark web. I don't know if anybody's heard of that place. It's pretty scary. But this is where a lot of this stuff happens. This is where a lot of guys and girls go for information to understand how they can, find out more information, be malicious, whatever the case. So back to the companies that are working with healthcare providers, there's about 700,000 HIPAA-covered entities, all right, but there's about 2 to 3 million businesses that work with HIPAA-protected entities. You have to make sure, I'll give you one quick tip on this, and that is that you need to make sure that you have a business associate agreement drafted by an attorney, okay, and you need to have one for every practice, every HIPAA-protected practice that you're doing business with. Because if they have a breach, you're essentially, you could be on the hook for that, okay, if you're touching their data, let's say, all right? That's super important. Every year, IBM releases a cost of data breach report. This is just some more statistics. You can see this was done last year. This was put out by IBM and the Panama Institute. And you can see the cost here of what these records are essentially going for. So we already know this. Sure.
I'll be loud.
Go ahead.
What is our problem if we are, we're we use Medicare for residents, and we have that data, and we're very secure with it, but we're not the only ones that have that data. So if someone else is breached, are we responsible also? If
you need to have that business associate agreement, yeah, you'll essentially, there'll be, you'll probably have to go through some hoops, but you're covered. Now, that entity should constantly be audited and have continual audits going on, HIPAA audits, that basically can prove that certain things are in place, like encryption on hard drives, let's say. So if here's one quick example. If you've done a HIPAA audit and you have a laptop that has encryption, a hard drive encryption on it, and it gets stolen, and you can prove it on paper, you don't need to report it. But if you can't prove it on paper, that laptop that got stolen has hard drive encryption, you have to report it. So there's little things that you need to know, but the best thing that you can do is document your entire IT situation, let's say, with audits and asset reporting and other types of reports that we can kind of go through. So we already know the attackers are targeting the weak. All right, everybody's heard of the Target hack, right? Dom will touch on this more, but most people don't know. Target got hacked through an SMB, a small medium business, an HVAC company called Fazio Mechanical. Okay, they got hacked. Okay, and I think they were in Fazio for about a year or so. They don't really state some specifics, but maybe a little over a year, and then the attack took place. So these things can sit dormant. You wouldn't even know. It's like some guy hiding out in your basement while you're home cooking dinner for a year. That's some scary stuff. So the reason for this, the reason that this is so easy is cybercrime is easier than ever. There are these job posting sites. You want to get a hacker job? They're out there. You want to hire a hacker? They're out there. Okay, there's payment systems like Bitcoins everyone's heard of, and different marketplaces. Some got shut down, but the explosion of software as a service and cybercrime as a service is a real business. Okay, and I'm going to show you a quick video here in a second. I got to kind of fly through this so Dom can do his thing. But this is crazy. The fact that somebody can go on the internet, spend $200, and start building an exploit kit, okay, is scarier than ever. And this is now what we're seeing, right? Ransomware. Everybody's heard of ransomware. Has anybody had to deal with it? You're lucky. I'm going to show you a quick video, all right, that hopefully sheds some light here on a few things. Could you hear it back there? I'm sorry. Was it loud enough? So you watched a woman essentially do some discovery, some social engineering, getting her way into a company, let's say, and getting those employees at that business to click on something that exposed them to ransomware. And the ransomware needs to be paid in a Bitcoin fashion. And you saw somebody at the company there has to pay that ransom. And when you do have ransomware, it is considered a breach, and your data is in fact stolen. So it is super scary. And we do know that about 60% of firms that have a data breach end up going out of business. I'm done, Ken. Antivirus doesn't work.
Just want to comment. We had a small client that we get hit with one of their employees, an employee company with employees opened up a file, ransomware, and they had to pay money in order to.
Yep.
So it's not something that's just for big companies, it's little companies, little nonprofits too.
Yeah, the little companies we find are less protected, so it's a lot easier to get in. The larger companies have greater security, let's say. A lot of it comes down to training, right? And Dom's going to talk about that because the human factor is, unfortunately, our biggest threat. People clicking the wrong thing, doing the wrong thing, giving the wrong information out, let's say. So how can we protect your data? How can we protect your business? Okay, utilizing things, what we call DLP technology, VPN tunnels, secure connections to remote offices, let's say. Making sure that you have a valid backup system, okay? Carbonite is not a backup system. I get that all the time. We have Carbonite. It's not going to work. So you need to have an enterprise level type backup system happening as busy as your business is. So if you can't lose any data, then you should be backing up whatever that is, every hour, every half an hour. Some businesses are once a day. That's fine if that works for you. But think about what's at stake if you were lost certain pieces of data. How long would it take you? How much money would it cost you to rebuild all of that? Cyber and ransomware protection is out there. That's what that YouTube video was. It's highlighting a Cisco product. Nothing is foolproof. So if somebody tells you, they're lying to you, okay? Firewalls, data encryption on hard drives, and then the most important, security awareness training, okay? For every employee that works for you needs to go through that. They need to understand how these threats are getting in, what risks they're exposing your business to. And just like the dark web, so the dark web is these hackers are protected, okay, what we call the onion network. And if you know how an onion is, it's built in layers, right? So I use this example with normal glass and bulletproof glass. You can see the immediate difference. We don't even have to talk about the difference between the two glasses. So this is the difference of kind of having certain security protection in place versus not. And there's a couple things that we focus on, right? We spoke about off network and on network. And email security needs to be protected across the board, right? Whether you're here, whether you're in your office. So email security is number one. An antivirus, cloud-based, let's say, antivirus solution, right? That can monitor you when you're out in the field. If certain offices that have in-house antivirus protection, their remote clients aren't always checking in, updating certain things. We already know antivirus doesn't work so well. So, but again, you're seeing the layers of different protection. A firewall, you can't take your firewall with you, although times are changing. And the cloud umbrella, which is a Cisco product that we layer out there on top of all of this, and then some security training and policies put in place that are very important for your business. Do we have time for another 2-minute video or no? I don't think you could hear it anyway, right? It wasn't loud enough. My last video was how this person goes to DEF CON, which is a hacker convention in Las Vegas, and basically sits down with this gentleman, and he's going to try to get, or she's going to try to get actually, the personal info, any personal info that she can. So she ends up calling the person's Verizon carrier, has a baby screaming in the background, pretends to be the guy's wife. Verizon gives up literally all the information, okay, to a nobody. She actually was able to change the password on the phone with Verizon, capture personal information from this example. So these things are real. These people are smart. They're here to trick you. They're here to get your information. They're here to exploit you. And again, we're just the IT piece, okay? So we're the smart guys running your technology that still need guys like Dom, who are the security professionals, the guys with all the creds. And Dom's going to come up here in a second and give his talk. So I hope you enjoyed my chat with you today. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, sir.
So, listening to this, the first thing
we need 2 mics.
The first thing.
You need 2 mics.
The first thing that comes to my mind is why give any access
to your employees. Everybody's going after cloud. A cloud is just a server in someone else's room. So why not develop your own cloud and use VPNs, et cetera, and really limit the access?
Great question. So, truth be told, I'm a guy that likes to touch my own data. Okay, so putting it in some foreign place to me doesn't necessarily sit well. So it's a great question. We have to trust some of those big providers out there, of course. I know it's a tough thing to swallow sometimes. So there are data centers on Long Island. There are data centers across the United States that you can set up, your stuff in. We do that at a facility close by, and it works very well for us and our clients. I think that when you have the right team, they'll be able to guide the right solution and give you not just one solution, but a few solutions that they should be able to present to you, and the management team, let's say, and be able to make that proper decision. So it's a great question. And yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of unknowns, right? We're seeing viruses, ransomware, we're seeing things pop up every single day. But I know Microsoft has more money in firewalls than I do, and that I probably will ever have. So it's a toss-up. The bigger guys are targets. We start going down that. But then you look at a Fazio Mechanical, who was how Target got in. So you need to protect yourself wherever it's happening. Thank you, everyone. I'd like to bring up an esteemed colleague of mine, CISSP, and a whole bunch of other creds that he'll tell you about. Domenick Gandolfo, Cybersafe Solutions.